Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is John with Flippin' Ain't Easy, and had a lot of really good comments on the video I put out yesterday, and I thought it would be a good idea to sort of make a follow-up video on this topic. I know promoted listings is a played out thing, but it is going to be a very, very real reality for many resellers to have to deal with and figure out between now and January when eBay's new policy kicks in. And I'm not going to go into the new policy, but just kind of look at it this way. In a nutshell, most resellers were pretty much that were promoting everything in their store. Let's just say you're promoting everything. Currently, we're probably at about 60 to 65% of our items are being charged that promoted rate, and about 35–40% of our items are currently being found organically. And eBay is trying to close that loophole, so where for the most part, it's going to be very hard to find your item organically, and most of the items that you sell that are promoted are going to be charged that fee, that promoted listing fee. So like around 85–90% of your items, instead of 60–65%, will be now paying that fee. And for many people, it's causing a lot of uproar in the community, and I understand. And look, I'm not happy about it, but there's nothing I can do, and I don't have enough pull or reach. Even if we all banded together and said, you know what, we're not selling on eBay anymore, we're not promoting anymore, someone's going to be there to pick up the slack and make the sales that eBay is there to do, push traffic to your listings. And so it just means they're going to push traffic to someone else's listings. And what I wanted to just kind of clear up is, to me, there's three tiers of listings. Okay. You have the tier of where you are not promoting, and you have what I've termed to be just a horrible listing. If you have a crappy listing, meaning that it's not optimized, if you have a listing that has a short title that does not mesh with what a buyer would use to search for your item, if you have a listing with one, maybe two photos, if you have a listing that has near to no item description, which means you're not using that as an opportunity to fill in extra keywords that your title just doesn't hold, if you don't even bother with item specifics except for the ones that are required, because eBay won't show your item at all if you do not have all the required item specifics filled in. And of course, if your price isn't in line with the market, if you're trying to get too much for an item because you've seen it sell for $100 and everyone else is selling it for 80, but by golly, you're going to just keep it at $100 because you know someone has sold it before for $100. All those things can make your listing, and not even talking about account health. If you have bad account health, that also will be a negative. Now, if you do all those things right, now this is where we get into the second tier of things. If you do all of those things right, you have a great title, have adequate photos, if you have a very robust item description that has full of good keywords that are relevant to the item you're selling, if you have complete item specifics, not just the required, but also relevant item specifics to what your item is, the more the merrier. And also, if you have a very competitive price, and we're not even talking about the other things you can do to boost your price, like markdown sales and coupons in the listing. Those are more for conversion anyway. Well, you don't have to promote. You don't have to promote, and you're going to be ranked above the seller who doesn't do anything, doesn't have a good listing, and doesn't promote. So you're going to be in the second tier, in my opinion. There's other listings that would appear in that second tier. It's the sellers that do promote that have horrible listings. Non-optimized listings. Again, we don't have to go through it again, but again, your title, your item specifics, your item description, the number of photos, the price. Well, if you have a horrible listing, you can't, I think I've said this before, you can't promote a turd and expect someone to want to buy it from you, okay? If the item is not appealing, if the listing is not appealing, then you can promote it all day long and it's not going to sell. And then there's the first tier where you have sellers who do both good listings and promoting, a combination of the two. And you're going to have a better success rate. You're going to have a quicker turnaround on sales for the most part. And I think the problem, though, is how do you get from level 2? If you're promoting and you have subpar listings, it's coming to terms with the quality of your listing. And we're not even talking about the quality of your item, because that's step number 1. If you don't get that right, if you are trying to sell items with no demand, I don't care how good of a listing you have or how much you promote it at, you're not going to have much success on eBay, okay? Because supply and demand is a real thing, and you can't promote and list your way through a bad item, okay? So most of us have average items, okay? Average quality items. Someone said, and I want to talk about some of these questions that, or not questions, but comments that you guys have placed in the last video. And one I'm not showing you is just because I didn't think about including it in the video until just now. And that was a comment where if you list strong items, you don't need to promote. I agree with that, but how many of us have exclusively strong items in our store? And I think many of us think of our items being better than they actually are, if we're being real about it. You know, we kind of exaggerate the quality of our items. I don't know of any store, I haven't seen many stores at all that have nothing but just high demand items. My store is just subpar. Again, I sell almost 600 items in a month, or actually in a 90-day period, with only 260 items listed. That is an outstanding sell-through rate, conversion rate. I got to tell you, it's not because my items are great. If my items are great, wow, it would just be outstanding. I probably wouldn't have to do half the things that I do. But my items that I buy need a little bit of help, and I do believe that all the things that I talk about on this channel have a direct role in my success that I try to share with you guys. Now, talking about the comments that you guys put on the last video, I think it's important. First one is from the Critical Observer 7585. And the Critical Observer says, you can promote at 10% and still be several pages back. Yes, and that has to do with the 3 tiers that I was talking about. If you have a subpar listing and an item that nobody has a desire for, or very few people are searching for, you can promote it at 10%. You can promote it at 20%. In fact, the test is to see, maybe log into an incognito mode on or another browser that you're not logged into, and just search for your item. What would a buyer type in to find your item, and see where you come up. And if you are promoting 10%, 15%, and you're showing up on page 1, well, okay, you've done your part. But if that item doesn't have the demand, okay, then it's going to sit there on your shelf until you find the unicorn buyer that comes around once in a while and maybe will stumble across your item. But, you know, you can promote 10%. And if you have subpar listings, if your listings don't have all the things that we talk about, then, and if your account health is suffering, then that 10% won't show up high in search. So that could be part of the reason that's happening. The next comment was from Nina's Jewels. Nina says, I understand the fear of stopping promoting, especially as someone who relies on eBay to pay my bills. But the new system eBay is putting in place in January is bad for sellers, really bad. The only way we can band together and collectively voice our opinion about it is to not promote. If eBay loses money in this new promotion scam, it will ideally force them to go back to the drawing board or revert back to the old way. Stockholders are not going to be okay with losing money, After all, as sellers, we might have to endure some short-term pain for long-term gain. And then Nina says, boycott promoted listings starting in January. The problem is, and this is where, if you are familiar with a union, why do unions succeed so well in the workforce? And their answer is unions require 100% participation. You are required to go on strike when the union decides to go on strike. If you cross the picket line, you might be able to go back to work, but the moment the strike is over with, you're out of there, okay? You lose your union representation and you do not have a job that's protected anymore, okay? That's how the union keeps solidarity. There is no solidarity amongst resellers, okay? There is no requirement. If you decide to form a union, there is no requirement for every reseller to follow your path. And even if you were to get 25% of all resellers, which is a huge number, on board with your line of thinking to not promote, boycott promoted listings, the way this thing works is those listings will be pushed down in search, and the sellers who continue to use promoted listings while you're protesting will get more sales and more exposure, because these buyers don't want to go to page 3 and 4 to find your item, which is probably where you're going to be. Santa's half-brother says something you should clarify, unless I missed it. This applies to resellers than actual flippers. Fighting to sell Amazon returns with thousands of other people selling the same crap is different than vintage items that may only have 5 to 10 comparable sellers. But I beg to differ. The thought process when promoted listings first came out is, and I do believe that there are items that you do not need to promote. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you every item on eBay needs to be promoted. But I do believe that promoting opens up other opportunities that just listing an organic item on eBay, waiting for the unicorn buyer, it opens up more opportunities. What am I talking about? I want you to check out this cutaway, and this should hopefully illustrate the importance of promoting even items that are one-off items, and maybe give you something to think about on that topic. Here's another aspect of promoted listings I want you to consider. So I have the search here that I've done for, in the last video I used the video example vase, so let's use the example of a vase. There's 1.7 million vases or vases up for sale. So let's go and, I don't know, let's go with a, I don't even care about where things come up, but I want to look at some of these really crazy ones. Now, look, I'm not worried about this listing at all. That's not why I pulled this up. Let's say you are a seller of a vase or a vase, and take a look at these sections in your listings. So now this is on the PC. It's very similar on the app. Now you see similar items sponsored. Roll down here, explore related items sponsored. Okay. Now look, take a look at this. Now under similar items above here, this is a Tang Dynasty pottery figure, Tomb Guardian. That's not a vase or a vase. It has nothing to do with it. But guess what? The algorithm thinks that somehow this is a similar item, and because it's sponsored, it's going to pop up in this listing. Okay. So someone who looks at this listing here and has interest in this might scroll down to look at the item description and go, wow, I want that right there. And so, of course, they click into it, and guess what? Because it's a sponsored listing, a promoted listing, this seller is going to get the sale. Now, we can look at the different aspects of this listing, though. So you have your similar items, which may be totally different than what is being offered in the original listing. Explore related items. Again, these are related items, and you can explore. These are all sponsored, guys. If you're selling your listing organically, you're not going to be shown like these listings are. Okay, you have to understand that. Now, if you scroll down and you scroll down to you may also like, so this is beyond the reviews of the seller and the item description. You may also like. Now you'll notice what's different here. There is no designation that it's sponsored. So this would be the only place within the listing, within the eBay listing, that a non-sponsored listing could possibly show up. So you may also like, and this could consist of sponsored and organic listings. Now you'll notice if you scroll down, frequently bought together, and again you see the sponsored designation. I think it's important to understand this. And these are all listings that are sponsored. Here you go, explore related items. Here's more sponsored listings. Okay. And so you're going to have a very, very small space where your item may show up if it is organic, and that's in you may also like. Okay. So you guys just have to understand there's 5 different places, 5 different batches of listings that eBay shows, and 4 out of the 5 batches will show only sponsored listings. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. The last comment is from Bachelor Brad. And Bachelor Brad says, flipping ain't easy. You proved to me long ago promoting listing is a farce when you promote a pair of jeans at 100% and still couldn't find them. I honestly don't think there's enough evidence to suggest it works as eBay suggests it should. I didn't notice enough of an increase in sales for me to continue to promote. It would be interesting to compare a similar item promoting at 20% versus one 20% cheaper and see who sells more. So again, we are vying for placement in eBay best match search. Okay, that's what most buyers are going to default to. Most buyers aren't, savvy enough to go beyond a best match search. Some might sort their items by price, but most intermediate to beginner buyers who just frequent eBay every so often is going to go through the listings that eBay presents to them. And in the example that I gave a few years back now, it's been like 2 to 3 years, where I actually took 2 of my items, I put them on at 100% promotion, which was crazy, but it was just an experiment to see what would happen. So I had some Sony headphones, and it might have been a pair of jeans. So I forget the other item. It might have been a pair of jeans. But again, these weren't the greatest items. These were they were sitting in my store for up to, I think, a year at that point. So for me, even if I had to pay, eBay fees and pretty much I'm giving the item away, I'm paying 100% of what the item sells for to eBay just for an experiment to see how that went. I was willing to do it. Now, I was very surprised to see that I was promoting at 100%, and I was expecting eBay to put those items at the very top, because why wouldn't eBay want all of my money? We think that's what eBay's out for, so you'd think that eBay would do everything they can to make that happen. But that didn't happen that way. Now, at the time, I was just focused on the promoted rate, and I can't tell you, how good of a listing that quality that I had. I think I only had maybe 2 or 3 photos in each listing, and I don't know how big of an importance eBay put on it, on the number of photos back then, because while they might have always placed an importance on the number of photos, it's only recently, the last year, where they really have come out and made it clear they want us to use more photos. Item specifics were still it was cloudy as to what eBay expected us to do with item specifics. A lot of us were filling in does not apply when we could have done a little homework and through a little Google search found the the MPN number or the other values that eBay is looking for. And I just don't know how good of a quality listing I had like 3 years ago. When was it? 3 years ago or more, actually, I think, when I did that. It's right when promoted listings pretty much came out, like 6 months afterwards. I don't know if I want to mess with another 100%. I guess I could. I could do another experiment with my items, a couple items, to see where they come up. But there's so many factors involved when you're doing these things that eBay places an importance on. And I'm kind of thinking based on what the AI listers that we're seeing, some of these AI listers are optimizing titles, they're optimizing item descriptions, they're completing more item specifics than we've ever, the normal user has ever used. And because of that, placement is better than it ever has for those people who are using those AI listing programs. You don't have to have a knowledge of, how to optimize your title if AI is doing it for you. And so that's why I've drawn the conclusion that, you don't have to promote, but to get the most out of your eBay experience, it's becoming a pay-to-play thing. And I know some of you guys just hate it, would rather quit over principle than to give eBay any more money. But the reason I do this is clear. It's how much money can I make for my family? And as long as it's still possible, it's harder to do because eBay is constantly looking for ways to take our money. I'm going to continue to sell, and I'm going to continue to tell you guys about what works for me. I'm not here to sell you on promoted listings. I'm just simply telling you what works for me. And if you're interested in that, then, please continue to watch. And if you're not, don't get mad at me that I'm promoting and you're not, because I'm taking advantage of a system that is designed to benefit eBay. And if you're willing to benefit eBay, eBay is willing to throw you a bone and give you a little more exposure, but you're still going to have good items, and you're still going to have an optimized listing. So hopefully that information gives you guys kind of more clarity as to what I was talking about on yesterday's video, and gives you a better understanding about what's happening here with promoted listings. I think a lot of times that there's a lot of confusion as to what promoted listings means for you. And, oh, this is a rare item, I should never consider promoting it, when, you're passing up other opportunities to show off your item. And hopefully this video kind of clears some of that up. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. But figuring all that out and deciding what you're going to do come January 13th when eBay changes the promoted listings, well, that is yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. I want you guys to have an excellent rest of your day, and we will talk to you very soon. Take care. Oh!
Chargebacks, returns, and lowball offers too. Vero takedowns, they're a pain, what can we do? High selling fees, bad buys, and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more. All resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them, and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. But flipping ain't easy, by your side. Sourcing great items is the key to success. Subscribe to the channel and stand above the rest. Focus on the thing that's within your control. Hang with flipping ain't easy, let's roll. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast Profit Playbooks. The name with Scott and Josh. Flipping's more than a game. Chargebacks, returns, and lowball offers too. A Vero takedowns, they're a pain, what can we do? High selling fees, bad buys, and rude buyers galore. Flipping ain't easy, but we keep coming back for more. Oh, all resellers are gonna make mistakes. Learn from them, and you'll have what it takes. In the world of reselling, we're your guide. Flipping ain't easy, but by your side. Sourcing great items is the key to success. Subscribe to the channel and stand above the rest. Focus on the thing that's within your control. Hang with flipping ain't easy. Let's roll. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast, Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game. Catch the live streams on Mondays and Fridays. Join the Discord community for the parlays. Tune into the podcast, Profit Playbook's the name. With Scott and Josh, flipping's more than a game.